Hey Alio fam, let's make this beautiful Ankara shorts together. It's a very simple process. So I'm going to be taking us through the process of cutting and sewing. We start off by taking our waist measurements. For this, mine is 32 divided by 4, that's 8. And then we're going to take from our waist to our hip line, that's 10 inches. On that 10 inches, you take your hip measurement. For this, mine is 40 divided by 4, that's 10, plus 2 inches for the crotch allowance, that's 12 inches. And then we're going to take the full length. For this, my full length, I was using length 19, including the folding allowance. So by the end of everything, we'll be having like 17 inches as the total length. And then you mark how wide you want the shorts to be. For this, I used a width of 12 inches. This process is the same as that in my previous video on how to cut a trouser. You just take your round lap and then you divide it by 2 and impute the measurement. Okay, so for mine it's 11 plus extra allowance, so I use a total of 12 inches. And so you just cut through after connecting from the baseline to the crotch line, of course. Now, once we're done with the front piece, we proceed to cut the back piece. You place the front piece on the material on fold. The material has to be on fold. After placing the front piece on that material, you proceed to add extra 2-inch allowance from the top all the way to the bottom, especially at the crotch area. Usually for my crotch, I use 2.5 inches because of my bum. So if you have a big bum, you can use 2.5, depending on the size of your client. You can use 2.5, you can use 3 inches, and just connect all the dots all the way to the waist. For this short, I'm going to be using an elastic waistband, so I'm not going to be adding the 1.5 inches I do add at the waist line for the back piece. So once you're done with that, you proceed to cut out. Up next, we cut out the pockets for the shorts. Now you fold your material into 4. First off, you fold it into 2, and then when it's on fold, you ensure that it's up to like 12 inches or 13 inches. For this, I use 12 inches. And then after getting that, you fold it again, ensuring that all the parts are equal, right? Once you do that, you'd have a width or wideness of 6 inches, and we're going to be using a length of 11. That's my standard, so that the pockets can be deep enough. All right, people usually use 10 inches, but I prefer to use 11 inches. So just follow through. Next up, we'll be cutting the waistband. For this, my material is on fold, and I'm going to be using a length of 22 inches. When you open that up, you're going to have 44 inches. And I'm going to be using a wideness or a breadth of 4.5 or 5 inches, so that by the time I'm done joining together and attaching to the shorts, I'll have like 2 inches for my band height. All right. Okay, so after cutting the waistband, we would have a small piece left, as you can see on your screen. That small piece is not to be wasted, as we'll be using that for our rope or our belts that will be passing through the band of the shorts, just in case you want to adjust the waist tightness. Okay, so nothing needs to be wasted in this process, trust me. Next up, we proceed to join the two sides of the two ends of the waistband, good face facing the good face, and then we close the tip, or close the ends rather. We proceed to do the same thing for the elastic waistband. Now for this, I used an elastic waistband of 27 inches because I don't want it to be too tight. So you just proceed to join the two ends together neatly and tightly so it doesn't lose. Next up, we proceed to join in. Now we put the elastic waistband into our material waistband, okay? Once you put that in, ensuring that the band is placed rightly so that it can go across the material waistband without twisting. So once you put it in between, you close the waistband and then you stitch the two ends together. Now you're putting it into the bad face and you're closing it bad face facing the bad face. So you're stitching on the good face. I hope that makes sense. Now once you're done joining, this is what your waistband should look like. Next up, you proceed to join the waistband to the waist of the shorts. The waist of my shorts is 44, just like the waistband that I cut. So once I stretch it out, because of the elastic, it's going to fit perfectly. So I hope you understand. Now once you're done joining, this is what your waistband should look on your shorts. You proceed then to stitch the top and the bottom of the waistband all through, so that you leave a space in the middle where the rope or the belt can pass through. I prefer to call it a rope. Alright. Now notice where my stitching starts from, just half an inch away from the tip of the waistband. I hope you get that. Now, one very important thing in stitching an elastic waistband is in the stretching. So as you proceed in the stitching, you continue to stretch out the waistband, because if you don't stretch it out, the stitch would start overlapping on the waistband, if that makes sense. So once you're done doing that, you proceed to stitch down the bottom part. Now, another important thing to note is that the distance between the top stitch and the bottom stitch should be at least 1 inch to allow your rope pass through seamlessly. I hope that makes sense. So that the distance from your bottom stitch and where the waistband joins to the short, it's still half an inch, just like the top stitch. I hope that makes sense. So for this next part, we're going to be putting the rope or the belt into the shorts. We first attach the safety pin, or attach the rope to the safety pin for ease. It helps the rope easily pass in between the top and bottom stitch. And then you make an incision or a cut in the middle of the front piece. Okay, we make that cut in the middle of the front piece, and then we proceed to put in the rope. This step, you have to be very careful with it, because most times the safety pin might go out of its cover, and then it can start causing tiny tears inside the short. So you just have to be careful while doing this. As you push through, ensure you keep pulling and pulling so that it doesn't pack in one side. The rope doesn't pack in one side. I hope that's understandable. So once that is done and you've gotten to the end of the other end of the opening, you take off your safety pin and then you stretch out the waist so that the rope properly laps inside. So that's it, your short is ready. Basically, this tutorial was about fixing the waistband properly. I couldn't cover the fixing of the pocket and joining of the crotch and all of the other details, but I promise that subsequently we'll be covering all of that. Thank you for sticking with me till the end. See you in the next video. Please subscribe if you haven't, like, and leave a comment. Bye.